Hello, how are you doing? I hope you're having an amazing day and welcome back to the channel. I know that choosing a smartphone gimbal is not an easy task, and when I made this video a few months ago, I had no idea that some things were about to change. So today, I want to talk about 3 smartphone gimbals which I believe are the best in the market. DJI released a few weeks ago the OM7P, which now has this multifunctional module that has a tracking sensor and can be used as a microphone receiver. We also have the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, which now has this new tracking module. And last but not least, this one is the Hohem iSteady M7, still quite impressive with many features that you might find useful. In the past weeks and months, I've spent a lot of time testing them out, so let's talk about them. One thing that you need to know is that the OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro have a compact design and they are lightweight. The OM7P has a weight of 350 grams and the Flow 2 Pro has a weight of 390 grams. They do support the smartphones up to 300 grams. The battery will last for 10 hours and you can use these gimbals to charge your smartphone. You can fold them down like this to make it easier to carry around. They both have a magnetic clip that you can attach on your phone, and when you need to use them, you just need to extend this arm and then mount the phone. Changing the orientation between horizontal and vertical mode can also be done quickly by pressing a button. The iSteady M7 is not a compact gimbal, and when you fold it down, this is the size that you're going to get. This is not going to fit inside your pocket, and for those who want to travel light, you have to consider that it has a weight of 630 grams and the tripod that comes with it has a weight of 120 grams. The battery will last for 12 hours and it can also charge your smartphone. The iSteady M7 has a traditional design which has a few advantages over compact gimbals. The motors are stronger, so it will support smartphones up to 500 grams. So you can use external lenses, accessories, or even a light camera like this one from Insta360. But getting this gimbal ready takes some extra time. You have to unlock all the axes, then balance this arm over here, and changing the orientation has to be done before you start using it by manually rotating this clamp. The OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro, they both have a built-in tripod which is very convenient so you don't have to carry one around. On the OM7P, the legs are not long enough to be used if it's very windy outside or if the surface is not even. It seems to me that the tripod on the Flow 2 Pro has a good length to make the gimbal more stable, but depending on the situation, sometimes I prefer to use a regular tripod. All these gimbals have a built-in extension rod that can extend up to 21.5 centimeters or 8.5 inches. And this is something that has become very useful not only for vlogging videos, but for those who want to be able to show more background in their video clips. I find that this extension rod can also be useful for low-angle shots or if you need some extra height. For solo content creators, being able to control the gimbal from a distance is an important feature. You can control the OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro if you have an Apple Watch, and this is going to let you see a live view of the camera, move the gimbal around to change the framing, and besides activating the tracking, you can use some basic controls, but of course, not everyone has one of this. The Flow 2 Pro has another option where you can use another smartphone as a remote control. This works with just about any phone as long as it has an internet connection, and it can be used right away without the need to download the Insta360 app. There is a bit of delay on the video feed, and I feel that not everyone has an extra phone for something like this. So the iSteady M7 has the best option. You can remove this section, which now becomes a remote control, and this is going to let you access all the basic controls and change almost every single setting. And this is because the M7 has this big display which is touch enabled, it's easy to use, and you probably won't ever need to use the Hohem app. And if you swipe all the way to the right, you get to see a live preview of the tracking module. And just a few months ago, the iSteady M7 was the only gimbal that had one of these. But now, both Insta360 and DJI have their own versions as well. And what makes them attractive is that they will let you track a subject without having to use the gimbal's app. And it doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, so iPhones and Androids can be used without any limitations. And of course, The best part is that you can use the tracking with any app that you want, and using the sensor is quite easy. Using the trigger on the gimbal or using a hand gesture, you can start or stop tracking, start or stop recording, and you can even change the composition of the frame by showing your hands like this, which is great for solo content creators. But I like the option to use the joystick for that purpose if I am the one using the gimbal, which is faster and much easier since this can be done while recording without any interruptions. Although on the M7, it takes an extra step where you need to pause the tracking with the trigger to then use the joystick. All these tracking modules can be used in horizontal or vertical mode, and they can be attached facing forward or backwards to take advantage of the front camera or the one in the back of the phone. So is there any difference between all of them? Well, the answer is yes. To use the tracking module on the Flow 2 Pro, you need to connect it on this USB-C port. But the problem with this is that this is the USB-C port that you would need to use if you want or need to charge your smartphone. And the other limitation that I found is that it doesn't support changing the composition with a gesture. But on the flip side, this tracking module seems to have a good range of about 15 meters, and the tracking seems to move smoothly when it's tracking someone. You cannot change the speed of the tracking, but I feel that this is much better than using the gimbal paired directly with an iPhone via dock kit, which has a short range of around 5 meters. It doesn't support gesture controls, and it only works if you have an iPhone 12 or above. And now that I've been testing it more, I have to say that it's not very consistent, and all of a sudden, it just seems to point at someone or something else. I get the feeling that this is an issue related to the iPhone because the tracking inside the Insta360 app is actually quite good, and it has some nice features that you won't find in other gimbals. But as I said before, you can use the tracking or any of those features if you want to use other apps, and that's a big limitation. For the OM7P, DJI made this multifunctional module. It goes on the left side of the phone clamp, and right now, this is the one that has the most features compared to the other gimbals. The tracking also has a good range of about 15 meters, and I also like the smooth movements that you get when it's tracking a subject. But if I compare orbit shots using the tracking, the movement on the OM7P seems to have a better flow than on the Insta360 gimbal. Inside the Memo app, you can change the speed of the tracking by sliding this bar, where a lower value will make the gimbal move slower and a higher value will make the tracking faster, which is good if your subject is going to move a lot. The module also has a built-in receiver, and you can connect 1 or 2 DJI Mic Mini transmitters. And it gets even better because this module can also support the DJI Mic 2 transmitters. These are going to work perfectly with your smartphone, and I really like the fact that you don't need to plug the receiver on the phone and still get the highest quality. I didn't mention this on the review, but you can actually use the DJI Mic Mini as a remote to start or stop recording. I think that the big benefit here is that you can buy just one transmitter for less than $60 and use it directly with the OM7P. And I am also thinking about all the people who bought the Pocket 3 Creator Combo, which comes with a DJI Mic 2 transmitter that you can now use with this gimbal as well. For this to work, you need to use this cable that comes with the gimbal to connect the module to your smartphone. And once you do that, it can also be used to charge your smartphone with the gimbal. The tracking module on the iSteady M7 has a lower range at around 10 meters. The tracking movement is very smooth as long as your subject stays on a close or medium range, so getting closer to the maximum range is not going to lose the subject, but you might see a sudden movement where the sensor is trying to catch up with the subject. Orbit shots using the tracking look pretty good. I'd say the movement has the same level of smoothness as the OM7P, but I think that the biggest feature that the iSteady M7 has is that you can see a live view of the sensor on the screen. And this makes it easier to know who is being tracked, and you can also select the subject that you want to track or even change to a different one very quickly. The screen also gives this gimbal the ability to select and track objects. This is something that the tracking module on the OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro cannot achieve unless you open the Mimo app or the Insta360 app for that matter. Using the app to do object tracking, both the OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro can do very well, as you can see in these clips that are playing in the background. But in some cases, the OM7P seems to be more consistent. All these modules have a fill light, and in my opinion, they are bright enough for those situations where you might need some extra light. On the OM7P and the iSteady M7, you can change the brightness level and the temperature of the light with a wheel on the left side of the gimbal. On the Flow 2 Pro, the only way to change them is by using the buttons on the module, and if you're recording, this is going to cause unwanted movements on the camera. The iSteady M7 can control the fill light using the screen, and this gimbal also has the option to use the fill light in RGB mode. When it comes to the stabilization, I do believe that these gimbals are all doing an excellent job, no matter if you're walking or running. These are two video clips taken without any stabilization on the smartphone, and I think that the difference should be clear enough. Using a gimbal is going to help to keep the horizon straight, and you can make your videos look smoother when you're doing different movements. But something to keep in mind is that compact gimbals have a limited range of motion on the tilt axis, and this is the case on the OM7P and the Flow 2 Pro. Gimbals that have a traditional design like the M7 have a much wider range of movement, and this makes the M7 easier to use for some type of movements. I really like that the Flow 2 Pro and the iSteady M7 can pan over 360 degrees. The OM7P will pan around 300 degrees. It is an improvement over the last generation, but still a bit short compared to the other gimbals. Okay, so I've been using gimbals from many brands for many years now, and in my humble opinion, I believe that these are the three best options in the market for smartphones. But we also have to understand that none of them are perfect. I think that the Flow 2 Pro might be a better choice for those who would not mind using the Insta360 app to record videos. I like that it has some really nice and unique features like the multi-person tracking, the active zoom tracking, and the Pro framing grid. But I would still get the tracking module if you want to use 60 frames per second with an Android device, for example. The iSteady M7 has a lot of useful features on the gimbal itself: A to B waypoints, stronger motors, a detachable remote control, and the live preview of the tracking sensor is a game changer. But the bigger size and the slower time to get this ready before and after making some shots are some of the things that you would need to consider. So this might be the right choice for those who want to take their filming or their content creation to the next level. On the other hand, for everyday videos, vloggers, or casual users, I believe that the OM7P can be a good choice. Not only does the tracking feel amazing and consistent, but I really like that the module can be used as a receiver for the DJI Mic Mini or the DJI Mic 2. So, would you buy any of these gimbals? The links to these products are going to be down below, and if you use them, it will support the channel. And by giving this video a like, it also helps the channel. I really hope that you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!